Okay, chapter 4 dealt with polynomials. So the first questions in chapter 4 ask you just to determine if it is a polynomial. So to decide if it's a polynomial or not, you're just looking at the exponents. If they're all integers, positive integers, then it's a polynomial. So this one is. If you look over here, this one is not, because you have x to the 1.4 power. That's a decimal. You can't have decimals, you can't have negative exponents, you can't have fractional exponents. So this one right away we would say it is not a polynomial. With this one it is a polynomial, and so then when it says if it is, identify the type and degree. The degree is the highest power. So it has a degree of 4, and the degree of 4, so degree of 1, if it's just an x to the first, is linear. Degree of 2 is a quadratic. Degree of 3 is a cubic. Degree of 4 is a quartic. So this would be a quartic equation. And then talk about the end behavior. End behavior is what is that highest power. What does that equation look like, that polynomial? So y equals 5x to the 4th. Anything that's an even power and a positive number in front of it will go up on both ends. So on the left it'll go up, and on the right it'll go up. That's what happens on the ends of that polynomial. So we call it end behavior. If that would have had a negative 5 in front of it, both of them would be going down. If it's an odd power, like an x to the 3rd, then it would be going down on this side and up on that side. So if it was like a 3x to the 3rd, or 2x to the 3rd, or to the 5th. If there was a negative in front of it, that's just the opposite. It gets flipped. So a negative and an odd power would be up on this side, and it would go down on the right. So just so you know all the different end behaviors. So odd, it changes. One goes down, one goes up. If it's even, they're both going up if that's a positive, and both going down if it's negative. Okay, so then what else do we have to find? I guess that's it, just the end behavior. You're good. Alright, adding and subtracting hopefully will be okay. Subtracting, just be careful that you're subtracting every term when you go to add like terms. So x to the 3rd minus 2x to the 3rd. So 1 minus 2 is a negative 1x to the 3rd. 2x squared, there's no x squareds over here, so I still have a 2x squared. A negative 7x minus 4x, negative 11x. And a 3 minus a negative 1 is like adding 1, so I get 4. So that's what you need to do to add, subtract. To multiply, you have to FOIL things out, or distribute. So I have to distribute the 2x. So I do all of that first. So 2x times 3x to the 4th would be 6x to the 5th, because you have to add the exponents. 2x times negative 2x squared would be negative 4x to the 3rd. 2x times x is 2x squared. Now I have to distribute the 1. So I'm going to get 1x to the 4th. I'll put that down here because or not 1, I'm sorry, plus 3x to the 4th because I'm multiplying by 1. 1 times negative 2x, negative 2x squared, and 1 times x is x. So I ran out of room here, so I just put it all on the bottom. So I just need to add anything that's like, so I have my 6x to the 5th. I have a 3x to the 4th, I don't have anything to add with that. I have a negative 4x to the 3rd, I don't have anything to add with that. These I can add together, the x squareds, they're going to cancel out. And then I have a plus x. So you're just adding any terms that are like before you say your final answer. Okay, so that's multiplying. Alright, let's talk real quick about dividing. You have to be able to do long division or synthetic. You only can do synthetic division when this is a binomial, like x plus 3 or x minus 4 or x plus 7. Then you can do synthetic division. If it's not like that, we have to do long division. So this is not a binomial, we have to do long division. So we're going to say x squared minus 2x plus 1. I want to know how many times that goes into x to the 4th plus 3x to the 3rd minus 5x. But I'm also going to put a plus x squared, 0x squared, so I have that in my, as I'm going through. And you have to do that with synthetic division. and then a minus 5x, and a plus 2. So I'm going to add that placeholder of 0x squares. All right, so x squared goes into x to the 4th how many times? Well, if you aren't sure, you're just asking yourself, what do you need to multiply this by to get to x to the 4th? I have to multiply by x squared. So that's what I put up in the answer row. So now I'm going to multiply x squared times x squared, x to the 4th. X squared times negative 2x is negative 2x to the 3rd. X squared times 1 is x squared. Alright, so when you do long division, now you're going to subtract. I do this. I say I'm going to subtract, and I put this in parentheses. Everything on that line has to be subtracted. So x to the 4th minus x to the 4th is 0. 3x to the 3rd minus a negative 2x to the 3rd. It's like adding 2x to the 3rd, so I get 5x to the 3rd. 0x squared minus an x squared is negative x squared. And now I'm going to bring down my other terms, the negative 5x and the 2. Alright, now I'm going to ask myself, how many times does x squared go into 5x to the 3rd? 5x times. So I multiply 5x to the 3rd minus 10x squared plus 5x. And I'm going to subtract. Remember, I'm subtracting everything. So this gives me 0. Negative 1 plus 10 would be 9x squared. Negative 5x minus 5x, negative 10x plus 2. Alright, how many times does x squared go into 9x squared? 9 times. So I get 9x squared minus 18x plus 9. So I'm just distributing that 9. Subtracting everything. This goes away. Negative 10x minus a negative would be adding 18x. I get 8x. 2 minus 9 is a negative 7. So that's my remainder, because now x squared does not go into that anymore. So your remainder you write as plus 8x minus 7 over what you were dividing by. Okay, so again, what did I do? You have to start with the first term. How many times does x squared go into x to the 4th? Write that in your answer row. You distribute and multiply all of those. Subtract everything on that row. Then ask yourself, how many times does x squared go into 5x to the 3rd? Put that in your answer row. You're going to do your distributing, multiply 5x by everything here, subtract, and then do the same thing. Continue that until you know that it doesn't go in there anymore. Your remainder is whatever's here over what you were dividing by. Okay, so when you do synthetic division, remember, you can just say, instead of doing this long division, you can say, all right, what is the root of that? Well, if x plus 3 is a factor, the 0 or the root is negative 3. So I put that here. Now I'm going to do my coefficients of 2x to the 4th. There's no x to the 3rds. Negative 12x squared. There's 20 x's, and there's 2. Draw my line. Now I know sometimes some teachers may make this look a little bit different where you put your line, but I always just put my coefficients here. My negative 3 I kind of box in, and then I leave a space. To do synthetic division, you bring down the 2, the leading coefficient, you multiply, and this time you add, okay? And again, we're adding because that's really the opposite. Over here we were always subtracting. Here we're adding. Negative 6. Negative 6 times negative 3 is a positive 18. We add. We multiply. We add. We multiply. We add. So this is our remainder. This is my constant, my x term, my x squared, my x to the 3rd term. So my final answer is 2x to the 3rd minus 6x squared plus 6x plus 2. My remainder is negative 4, so it's plus negative 4 over what I was dividing by. Now I wasn't dividing by negative 3, I technically was dividing by x plus 3. So you do want to make sure you put your answer row in synthetic division back as a polynomial with your remainder. Okay, so that is all of the things, introduction part of making sure you can work with polynomials.